Recording one. Hi, you're on mute. Good. Yeah. Slideshow करिए. Thank you for the patience, friends. Yes, Paramdeep.
So I welcome you all to the Society of Complementary Therapies. Thank you for joining us today on this wonderful afternoon. I'm Parmeet Kaur. I'm a counseling psychologist and a mental health associate working with the Society for Complementary Therapies. Before we go into our topic for today, I would like to introduce the society. So SFCT was developed in 2016 with an aim to provide non-invasive therapies. And it has been an honor for us to deliver over 30 plus Zoom sessions during the course of pandemic, where the need of mental health had been so much aggravated. We dealt with issues like addressing your childhood trauma, addressing survivor's guilt, coping with grief and loss during pandemic, mental health issues faced by children. These are just some of the many. So today I'm honored to present that we are having a thought-provoking dialogue on understanding mental health stigma and how to combat it. Mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of, but stigma and bias that shame us all, said Bill Clinton. And I think it's so true. Mental health stigma is one of the greatest barrier when it comes to providing and creating a society which has a good overall well-being. So today we have a panel of three wonderful people. Miss Meena Gupta, she's a therapist, counselor, and trainer. Miss Rashmi Anand, she's an author and social worker. And Miss Shobha Gupta, she's an advocate with Supreme Court. I'll be introducing them further as we go forward. So before I move forward and we go into the stigmas that exist, I would like to shed some light on the statistics, the mental health statistics of 2021. It's 2021. Almost 1 in 25 adults live with a serious mental illness. Isn't that a huge number? 50% of chronic mental illnesses start before age of 14 years. 75% of chronic illnesses start by the age of 24. Now, 14 years of age, 25 years of age, these are the nascent years of our life, the years that we lay the building blocks. And just over 10 million people over the age of 18 have more than one addiction or mental disorder. That's actually a shock. Due to the stigma associated with mental health, a lack of awareness, and limited access to professional help, only 10 to 12% of these people seek help. India, we all know, is today one of the fastest developing countries. Yet it is still stuck in a time wrap somehow when it comes to advancing socially, or advancing in terms to mental health, or advancing in terms to overall well-being for that matter. Stigma can sound like being scared of judgment, being scared that if I tell my boss that I have bipolar disorder, my career would be in jeopardy, that people would pity me, or they won't be understanding enough, or they won't be supportive enough. We have become aware to a certain extent. Yet stigma and awareness, we need to understand, are two separate issues, yet very much interlinked. They need to be addressed in parallel in order to tackle the burden of mental health globally. If mental health concerns are viewed with apprehension and resistance, it will remain difficult for us to seek the support. And for people who are suffering to seek the support, they require very much from the fear of being labeled or being judged. So moving further, I would like to give the stage to Shobha ma'am. And it is an honor for me to introduce her today. She would be addressing mental health stigmas faced by the Indian society. She would be addressing the topic mental health stigmas faced by the Indian society from the view of an advocate and a human rights worker. It would be an honor for us, for her to share her experience and wisdom with us and associated with the mental health stigma that grasps the society. Shobhaji is a practicing advocate in Supreme Court for over 23 years now. She has worked extensively with various government and semi-government panels and private organizations and is truly a figure of inspiration for all of us, I must say. She is a standing counsel of NHRC, that is the National Human Rights Commission, for over 16 years now. She is also the founder of FLAG, that is a free legal aid group, the aim of which is to impart free legal aid to juveniles who have been often found at the wrong side of the law. And we all know and understand how the younger generations are really the building blocks of a better tomorrow. Shobhaji has also founded a social society, We the Women of India, to create awareness in the society at large about human rights of women and creating a respectful and equitable space. It is a privilege for me to have you here today and share the stage with you, ma'am. We welcome you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Meenaji, and thanks everybody on the board to have me over here. And thanks for nice intro. See, mental health, before going much of the thanks, let's get on to the subject. Mental health is something, we have come across quite often. People who are suffering with this. And what does that mean? Is it kind of a madness? Once, no, main pagal nahi hu. We have come across people, the moment you even dare to suggest them that why not meet a counselor or why not go to a psychologist, the first reaction which comes is the reaction of misbelief and the reaction of being insulted, the reaction that what are you talking? I have come to you as a lawyer, I have come to meet you to address my issues, and you are thinking I'm a mad person. Now, what we have to do to bridge a gap from, having a mental health issue and to be declared to be taken to a mental health institution are two different ball games. And even if you have reached to that verge, why not actually reach to the institution also? But here, what I'm trying to address is that we have come across the cases where people are suffering with some issues, which if addressed at right point of time, you can actually sort out the life. We have come across the cases, this can occur anywhere. You're suffering with, malnutrition that may take you to the status of, when there are mental health concerns. You might be suffering with stress, which you are not able to bear. Suffering with other kind of traumas, not able to bear. There's n number of causes. You can just keep on citing it, then the list can go on. Sometimes in my profession also, I've seen the lawyers, I can't cite names here, but we have lawyers who are even practicing in Supreme Court and suffering with this at a serious level. So much so that two of the instances I had been instrumental in sending them to Vimhans. In one case, we had to force do that because that friend of ours was not ready to believe that she has some issues which can be termed as mental health issue. So if I have cold, cough, I can go to a doctor. If I have a stomachache, I can go to doctor. If I have headache, I can go to doctor. If I have anything else, I'll go to doctor, but not for mental health. So I am able to recognize any sort of illness minus mental health, which is sometimes not even illness. It's only a phase of your mental status. If you don't allow that to be aggravated, you may sort it out. And how do you do that? a simple sense of recognizing it, acknowledging it, that something is not very normal or usual, something is not going good with me. Address the people or look out for the people to whom you can talk. And normally people say in confidentiality, I would say don't look for the confidentiality. Just talk out, talk about it. Talk about how I am feeling, what is making me feel not good. You know, sometimes being in an environment is not making me feel good. Sometimes being in a marriage not making me feel good. Sometimes being in a relationship does not allow me to feel good. Sometimes being in a particular office under a particular boss in a particular set of people does not make me feel good. I do not have food on my platter. I do not have things of my liking. I do not have this and that. And a continuity of that can make you not feel good. But there is one more aspect. So all these things you may address. I would be touching one aspect of it. I am an educated person. I have ambitious around me. I have dreamt of a professional career for me. Right? I could not achieve that, or I'm failing to reach out to that. That's fact that I'm not reaching out to that, and the failure to recognizing that there's something wrong, I'm not addressing that, or I'm not putting up good efforts to reach out to that dreamt of achievement. This gap creates that mental health issue as well, which we have noticed in our circle. We have seen extreme cases where you have come to Delhi from a small town, maybe. You wanted to become a good lawyer, wanted to make good money. You couldn't do that. You couldn't even find the survival status. Then the mode of denial. You deny to recognize that, no, I have failed to achieve that for XYZ reasons. And the continuous denial mode to continue to defeat that actual fact which is happening with you, bring to them to that fringe where they may get completely broken up, which we call in a normal sense, the person has become mad. The fact that somebody can address that. Now, unfortunately, we as a society also fail. We see people getting into that zone and we allow them to go into that zone. So one area of addressing, the person get to know, realize I have to look for some counseling, some help, be it my family, be it my friends, be it my well-wishers, or it may be a stranger, a counselor. Go to someone, talk out frankly, speak about it, look for help, ask people to help me out. At the same time, as a society, please do not allow anyone to go to that verge. If you get anyone, you know, I don't want to cite it, but I'm citing it only for the cause. We had a lawyer friend. She had, you know, gradually gone to that stage of complete breakdown. We as a society allowed that to happen. Despite the fact that if we have done some work at right point of time, we could have saved her. She reached to the stage that she would reach out to any lawyer and talk anything. A young girl, so could be violated anytime. We have seen her reaching out. The few clerks were having food, having meal during lunch. She rushed to them, snatched away a chapati from their hand and ran away. And she was in uniform. So situations of this acute level can also occur, and that was day in, day out. People would laugh upon her, people would talk about her, but nobody would take her to the counselor, to the hospital. Another incident, when I noticed that, I reached out to the president of our bar and I said, we have to do something. We can't let her be the other person again. Like, we can't allow the history to be repeated. We forced her, we bundled her into a van. Those days there used to be, now because of the latest 2017 Act, you can't force somebody to a mental health institution. Earlier you could. and there used to be mobile vans traveling. We bundled her into the mobile van to be taken to women's, and with all good efforts, she is now a completely normal person. You must have seen another person in Telangana, maybe somewhere down south. Recently, news occurred on social media also, that a lawyer was found in a very bad condition on roads, virtually begging and seeking for help. So all this is something where we as a society fail. If we as a society, the moment we notice someone, please collect the courage to go and tell the person that in my full bona fide and understanding, I believe you need some help. Please talk to me. Because sometimes even talking out can solve the situation at stage 1. Maybe problem becomes bigger when we cross stage 1, we go to stage 2, where the person has aggravated it. But we can save so many to go from there. Then we have, as the legal side, we have several way outs. We have under the Mental Health Act, now the 2017 Act is much more progressive. You have counselors, you have whole system put in place, you have to just reach out to. I wish if we can do that at the end of this session or otherwise, the list of counselors to be flashed. And I would request you as a society, you are working on that field, that if you can flash list of counselors here on board on your site, so that people can actually reach out to them. But otherwise, on just Google it, you can find counselors around, sometimes paid, sometimes not paid. Like you can just go. People are working for free for all these causes also. So reaching out, acknowledging, talking it out, and then sometimes admitting it. The fact is, admit it also, and don't shy away from admitting that yes, I need help. So I believe I finish it over right now here. Let others speak, and if any questions are there, I'll certainly speak on that.
Right, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you are very much right. This problem exists at a societal level, and we need to address it from the root to actually make a difference.
Yes.
And when you said that we should have a list of counselors who are there in the area or in the field who are doing good work, that was a very good suggestion, Shobhaji, and we will make it happen. Hopefully by the end of the session.
Meenaji, I was saying this because I am working in different nuances of social issues.
Yes.
And I always believe, one is having the stakeholders, having
Right.
a system,
Right.
two, having an informed system around.
Right.
So when we have an informed system, that means we are putting the system which is in information of others also.
Yes. Yes.
That makes the huge difference.
Absolutely. What you're saying, I absolutely agree with you, Shobhaji. And I need to thank you for the insights that you gave and the examples that you gave, that we should not be in a denial or let other people be in a denial. We should address it there and then before the person crosses the threshold. Is that what you were trying to say, ma'am?
Yes, yes. I'll add one more line also.
Yes.
As a society, if I'm witnessing or noticing that this person, a person needs help,
right,
then I should not shy away from the fact how would that person feel if I go and point it out to her or him.
Right.
Because then we miss the bus.
Absolutely.
Don't miss the opportunity of addressing it then and there, the moment you as a society notice it. So what if the person doesn't like it?
Right, ma'am. It's like
you do your job.
The bud. Yeah.
Because sometimes we just get into shell by thinking, oh my God, he may not like it or she may not like it. Let that person not like it.
Correct.
Please talk about it. Right. And we should learn how to do it, how to address the issue so that the person is not saying, I don't like it. I had a client, I'm sorry, I'm just going ahead. I had a client and she had a serious issue of this nature. So she had one marriage gone berserk, second marriage gone berserk. Now she was into the third one. I said, this is high time. I'm going to tell you the truth. Let's first meet a psychologist. She said, why, ma'am? Even my in-law says I am a mad person. I have mental issue. And you are also saying the same thing. I said, I'm not saying that you are a mad person. I'm just saying you need counseling. So let's meet a counselor. Let's see what the counselor suggests. Sometimes no harm in addressing your cold, cough, your fever. Similarly, this issue also.
Right.
We
Thank
need
you,
to
ma'am.
address that.
Yes, absolutely. To nip it in the bud and let it not go forward. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very essential to bring the physical health and mental health at par with each other.
Thank you.
So thank you, ma'am. And I think let's move forward.
Yes.
So moving, one second. So moving forward, I would like to introduce Rashmi ma'am. She will be addressing the how we can combat this stigma that we've been talking about from the view of a social worker. It is my privilege to introduce her. She will be sharing her experiences, her wisdom with us today. Rashmi ji is a practicing social worker working with women and children on issues of concern that are often neglected. She is a trustee of the Women of Elements Trust, which gives free legal aid to women and children who have been victims of violence and provides them with the much needed support. The trust also runs a free legal counseling helpline and has been a lifesaver, I must say, for many women and many children. She has authored over 13 books and is the recipient of Nari Shakti Puraskar, the Nirja Award, and the Karamveer Puraskar, among many others. It is my pleasure to have you here, ma'am. We welcome you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I can't, like I said earlier, it's my honor to be with Shobha ji and Meena ji on this panel. So thank you for inviting me. So I was thinking that, Shobha ji has covered so much of the mental health issues. I thought I would, talk more about stigma and see it through my own journey. So I don't know how many people over here would know anything about me or my life. So I'll just take you through 5 minutes of my own journey and then what I work with and then how I went through what I did and how I came through that problem of stigma and stigmatization. So essentially, I've been through a very violent marriage for over 10 years. It was many years ago now. And I've had everything from broken bones. I've been thrown downstairs during my pregnancy, a whole load of issues that happened with me. We women, we keep thinking, theek ho jayega, sab kuch theek ho jayega, and we stay there till something happens to our children. And then we just can't take it anymore. So my son stopped speaking with all the violence that happened. He completely went into his own shell. And he needed to be put into a center for children with learning disabilities. We tried to handle that on my own because the immediate reaction of my in-laws was, "Tum sochte ho wo pagal hai? Usko school se nikalo. School theek nahi hai." He was in one of the best schools for this kind of a problem, which was the Sri Ram school, which had a special section for children with special needs. But immediately the first reaction was, "School se nikalo, isko dusre school mein dalo." And the violence continued. So when this happened, it was a wake-up call for me. I took my 2 children and I left my marriage, and I, without any, help from my father, my brother, who didn't want me back, I started life anew with my children, with no money. My ex-husband was a lawyer, so I couldn't fight him. In those days, we didn't have the domestic violence law. And I restarted my life at 35 with a 9-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son who stopped speaking. So there were so many issues, even to come to terms with the fact that violence is happening to me. The thing of speaking out is such a fear in women. Kahin na kahin log bolenge, this is my fault. It is my fault. You start believing it is your fault. That is the first stigma, that if there is violence happening to you, it's your fault. Then with my son, what would people say when I come out into the world with a child with problems? What are people going to think? And then coming out, she's living alone. So much was said about me when I left my marriage, because the first thing that happens when a woman raises her head to live on her own. There's fingers pointed on her character and everything. So all that was said about me. Dekho, is ye yahi kharab hogi? She's the terrible one.
That's all. That's all right, Rashmi ji. I think you've gone on, yeah. Mute.
The video stuck.
The video is stuck, I think. इसको लिखना पड़ेगा कहीं ना इसमें. Where do you want to write? In the chat box. Yashvir, can you help your mother? Yashvir, I think the video has stopped. That's all right. It happens in today's world. When we go live or when we are on the Zoom, some glitches are bound to happen. अगर glitches नहीं हुए तो समझिए कि क्या हुआ फिर तो everything is hunky dory. So sometimes it happens and it is fine. It was so good to hear Shobha ji, and now.
But she knows how to come over the difficulties. She is back to your.
Yes, I know. Absolutely. She is a master at it and she's done it and she will come back again, even more louder. She's here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So here, I'm so sorry. I think the
No problem. No problem, Rashmi. Carry on. It happens.
Okay. Yeah. So time and time again, that whole stigmatization when you make choices of your own is there. It comes from around you. It comes from your family. It comes from everybody. But because my son was going through what was, it gave me the added strength to fight on and come out of those things. Today, in retrospect, when I work with women, so I run this trust that gives free legal aid. I do counseling for women at a personal basis. And the kind of, the strength that is required to even speak out when you're going through something, it is a phenomenal, it's a surge of strength that you require actually to come out and speak because of the stigma. Now, when I look back at my own journey, there are many learnings that I learned about stigma. It's very funny, but first and foremost, I feel that your internal strength is what carries you outwardly onward, So one of the main things that I realized was that if I was strong inside, that's the only way that I would survive. And that's the only way that my children would survive along with me. And when you need messages, I always believe that those messages come to you. So, money was always an issue. But my daughter and I were very voracious readers. My son, of course, was going through his own issues. He reads now. But in those days, my daughter and I would go to Nai Sadak and we would pick up, those books from the ground. And two of the books that came to me that I picked up from, that pavement bazaar that used to come. One was, there were two Upanishads that came to me. One was the Chandogya Upanishad and one was the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Both of them were from the Ramakrishna Math that I picked up from the pavement. Now, when you're going through so many problems, your mind is not as at ease enough to read. However, I did glean through some of it. And one thing that I did glean out of that and out of the experiences around is self. That self-discipline and the curtailing of your mind and your thoughts, controlling of mind, your own mind. I did not have the luxury to go to a counselor. I had no money. I had no means to be able to go. I could not even at that point in time deal with my own grief because survival issues were too strong. I had to combat too many things, money issues, so many issues, school, my son. So I did not have that luxury. So whatever strength that I could rely on was only my internal strength. So So I turned within. And that is when so many things came to me. When it came to stigma and so many things were said to me, I also realized that what is stigma? It is impressions on our mind with the baggage of other people that is put upon us and our own baggage. But how much allow those impressions to actually take root in our mind is up to us. So somewhere I understood that it's up to me. Most of all, it's up to me. When I need help, like I needed help for my son, and I did not have any other choice because I was not enough to deal with his problems. It needed a totally different thing. So the school helped me out with the special section over there. But where I was concerned, because I did not have the ability to seek out anybody at that time, I had to draw on my own strength. So, I write books. So if you will allow me, I'll just read from that. Okay, so is that all right with you, Shobhaji?
Yes.
It would be pleasure. I have been the beneficiary of your book, so it would be pleasure hearing out that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Rashmi.
So it's up to us. Okay, so Shobhaji,
I think Rashmi is having a problem with her
so
internet.
bound was I to my own. Is my internet connection is bad again?
Yeah.
Is it all right now? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. I craved for freedom all my life, but I walked about in chains. So bound was I to my own thoughts. I was not free, but what circumstances to come, make choices that frightened me. So I kept from making choices and stayed on constrained, longing, but not willing to take the chance of being free. At the end of the day, it's up to us. It's our choice. Whether we choose to choose the stigma or we choose to leave it behind. It's up to us. In trying to seek acceptance from others, I tried to be like them all. I tried like them to be. I lost touch with my own spirit and I forgot to be me. Instead, I whispered the sounds of others. I followed their view and thought. I followed blindly what others said. My own gleanings I never sought. I did all I thought the world was right. I followed norms that had been laid out. I forgot that there were songs of my own to sing, and I had to sing them out. So what we need to do is something for ourselves. We need to see life in our own way, through our own eyes. I feared so much the future. I spent every day in sorrow. I forgot to live out the minutes in anticipating tomorrow. I refused to see joy in each moment. I worried what time would bring. How could I ever have soared in life? I was a bird with a burdened wing. I sought to make myself unhappy, not realizing that all I needed would come my way, that tomorrow would take care of itself if I had the joy to fly today. We forget our todays in longing for tomorrows.
Beautiful. Those words were absolutely inspiring.
Thank you. And there's just one thing as I would like to end off. If we truly want to be free and walk our journey free, there is one thing, so this is from another book of mine. It's called Woman of the Elements. And it says, lightest of light I am, weightless without care. I carry no encumbrance, no load do I bear. I have been through everything. I have seen it all. I have been through all with everyone, and I carry nothing at all. I carry no burdens. I fly so absolutely free. Unmixed with anger, joy, sorrow, or pain, I am pure for eternity. Woman of the air I am. think we
Wow.
just need to be free.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank
It's
you.
actually moving to the core.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I must add, like you said, that our minds are very impressionable, but the impressions that we carry throughout our life are to an extent up to us. So I think let's move forward. So moving forward in the combating the stigma, we have Meena ma'am. Today she'll be sharing with us how we can deal and combat with the mental health stigma. It is, of course, my honor to introduce her, my associate, my mentor, and the founder of Society for Complementary Therapies. She has an expansive experience of over 30 years working in the field of mental health. She founded the society with an aim to promote judicious and scientific complementary therapies in India, raise awareness, and destigmatize mental health. She works with children, teens, and adults, addressing various issues with the approach to target and resolve the concern from the very root level. She has also presented a number of research papers both in India and overseas. During the pandemic, as I mentioned before as well, SFCT has conducted over 30 Zoom sessions on various topics of concerns, all of which would not have been possible without Meena ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, and I welcome you on the stage.
Thank you, Parmeet. It was good of you to introduce me the way you did. And a lot of it would not have been possible without you also, Parmeet, especially this session that we are conducting today. So she compliments me in whatever I do. So now, before I start this topic, talk openly about mental health, I would like to resonate with what Shobhaji said, that if we can nip the issue in the bud, then things would not accelerate or become so bad that the person would even think or contemplate suicide. Now, my journey with mental health started, I would like to just share very briefly, when a very close relative who was my friend, married very happily with 2 young children, went through an issue which was not diagnosed in time, and it boomeranged till the time when she jumped off the 18th floor and ended her life very young. So that is the time when I could not understand why something like this could have happened. And when she was with me, I used to shake her up and tell her, hey, come on, get up. Yeah, what are you trying to do? Without realizing that there was a big wall between me and her. And if her condition would have been diagnosed early, well, she would have been lived on and she would have been with us even now. So it's very important, friends, for us to talk openly about mental health. हम करते क्या हैं? We brush it under the carpet. जैसे शोभा जी ने कहा कि कल ठीक हो जाएगा, परसों ठीक हो जाएगा, वो 2-4 दिन रोएगी, ठीक हो जाएगी, वो 2-4 दिन नहीं किसी से बात करेगी, ठीक हो जाएगी. But that's not so. Mental health stigma stems from it feeling like a taboo subject. Normalize mental health by talking openly and honestly about it whenever an opportunity presents itself. जब हम किसी का behavior देख रहे हैं. Now, I always say a person who's, I do a lot of talks on suicide prevention. I was with suicide prevention for 21 years. There are signs that a person can see that the person is wanting to contemplate suicide or end their lives. अपनी किताबें होंगी वो किसी को बांट देंगे, अपनी सीरीज जो उनको बहुत पसंद थी वो बांट देंगे, अपने कपड़े जो उनको बहुत पसंद थे वो बांट देंगे, and continuously they are trying to give, trying to tell you, hey guys, I don't want to live, but हम उस चीज को नोटिस नहीं करते, हम उस चीज को इग्नोर कर देते हैं, हम उसके जाके पास में जाके बात नहीं करते. So like Shobha ji said, everyone is a counselor here. One doesn't need to go to a therapist, a professional, to be counseled. अगर हम अवेयर हैं कि हमारे क्लास में, हमारे नेबरहुड में, हमारे फ्रेंड्स में, हमारे रिलेटिव्स में somebody is going through a issue where the person is not what they were, what they are. I remember when I was with the Samaritans and I like to dress up and go, and अगर किसी दिन में ठीक से मेरे बाल नहीं बने या मैंने अच्छी साड़ी नहीं पहनी या अच्छे कपड़े नहीं पहने, the first thing my volunteer is to ask me, Meena, is everything fine with you? So you see how apparent it is from the look, the body language is telling you that everything is not fine with me. So we should all take notice of our neighbor, of our friend, of our children, of our senior citizens, whoever is going through a difficulty, sit down and tell them that I'm there with you. इससे ज़्यादा और कुछ कहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So we need to talk openly and honestly whenever an opportunity presents itself. ये बहुत ज़रूरी है समझना इसको. There is no obligation to share anything. You feel it is too personal. अगर आपको कोई बात है, आप नहीं बताना चाहते, ना बताइए. लेकिन at least a hand to hold you and tell you that I'm there with you is enough. But simply acknowledging that you or someone you know has struggled with mental health at times can help others who are struggling and feel supported. जैसे मैंने कहा, इतना जरूरी है हमें अपने आंखें और कान खुले रहना and to see people who are going through distress and hold their hands and tell them that you're not alone, I'm there with you. Now, India cheers for the finance minister's mental health budget 2022, which has happened very recently, and I'm sure everybody knows of it. She says treatment for mental disorders is not a luxury but a necessity. How beautifully she's put it. I don't think I need to say anything more than this. कि अगर हमें खांसी जुकाम बुखार जैसे शोभा जी ने कहा है, हम भागे हुए डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं. अभी भी ये है कि थर्ड वेव में भी अगर जरा सा किसी को जुकाम हो गया, खांसी हो गई, अरे फौरन डॉक्टर के पास जाओ, देखो कहीं कोविड तो नहीं हो गया. What about mental issues? If we are going through something which is concerning us, which is we are not able to talk and is disturbing us, I think we need to address it. Now, the second thing that I want to talk to you about is psycho-educate yourself and others. Speak up when someone stigmatizes mental health. अगर हम किसी पार्टी में गए हैं या कहीं गए हैं, कहीं घूमने गए हैं और कोई बात कर रहा है, अरे तुमको पता है वो तो पागल है, वो तो ऐसे बिहेव करती है. That is not the right way to do it. How can you stigmatize mental health? अगर वो पागल है और आपको लग रहा है कि वो उसका behavior normal नहीं है, I think it is all the more time we should go up to the person and, like Shobha ji says, just talk to the person and say, I'm there with you. What is it that's troubling you? Ask questions, like I said, to mental health professionals. Google करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Mental health professionals हैं. I will be giving a list of, like Shobha ji is requested, of mental health professionals who are there. And now, of course, with the budget, there's a whole list that the government has given of mental health professionals where anybody and everybody can reach out, which is all voluntary. Attend mental health awareness programs. इतने programs होते हैं, हम लोग कभी जब अच्छा कुछ हो रहा होता है, कुछ happy होता है, तो हम तो उसको attend करते हैं. लेकिन अगर mental health awareness program है, तो फिर हम कहते हैं, अरे हमको पागल थोड़ी ना है. अरे we don't need this. Why do we need an awareness program for mental health? Sorry, you might not need it for yourself, but you might need it for somebody whom you know is going through distress. Also, read about mental health. Know the facts. We read, I do a lot of reading because I'm sure Shobha ji will say, or even Rashmi will say, or chartered accountants, I don't say that I'm complacent, I know it all. I am growing every day with every client that I'm meeting. I'm actually learning more from them than what I'm giving them. So it's very important to know your facts. From sometimes like Rashmi writes a lot of books or even journals where we can understand about our own mental health issues or mental health issues which family and friends are facing. Also, the thing that I want to talk to you about is here, be conscious of the language you use. ये बहुत important है. हम लोग बड़े आसानी से कह देते हैं वो तो पागल है, उससे बात मत करना, उसके घर जब जाओ तो वो बेवकूफी की बात करती है या करता है. Sorry, reevaluate how you perceive mental health. Now here, I will give you an example. When I was setting up my clinic and I said that the board said mental health and healing center. Now so many people opened my door and came in. ये पागलों के लिए है क्या? क्या हम पागल हैं तभी हम आ सकते हैं? So mental health they only associate with कि पागल कोई है तभी वो mental health के उसमें आता है. No, I had to explain to them, if you're going through a depression, if you're going through an issue, if you're going through a bad marriage, if you're going through something that you wish to talk about, I'm there to listen to you. So we need to reevaluate how you perceive mental health. It will hamper your career and make you an outcast. हम समझते हैं कि अगर हमने उसके बारे में बात करी, जैसे दिखाया था परमनीत ने शुरू में कि अरे हमने अगर बात करी तो कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि मेरे ऑफिस में पहुंच जाए वो बात, and I will be kicked out of my office, or I become an outcast from my society. No, it is not like that. Every change starts with you. To fight mental health stigma, you first have to evaluate how you perceive mental health and if stigma is affecting your behavior in any way. तो पहले हम अपने अंदर तो सोचें. Now, when I was coming out of COVID, I really went into a lot of depression and people said, अरे आप तो therapist हैं. How come? My children told me, you provide therapy to a lot of people outside, how come you are depressed yourself? But it was a chemical imbalance or a sense of insecurity that I was going through, So I was facing that and there was a stigma around me saying, अरे आपको क्या हो गया है? You are such a strong person. You've lost your husband, but yet you carried on and now you're, working for an organization. How can you be depressed? So this is a stigma that we need to come out of. Now, the next thing that I would like to talk about is encourage equality between physical and mental health concerns. Like Parvneet said, कि अगर हमें खांसी जुकाम बुखार होता है, हम 1 मिनट नहीं लगाते, OPDs भरे पड़े हैं hospitals में, with a lot of issues that people, physical issues that the people are going through. But I would like to share with you, even psychiatrists, you go to a psychiatry OPD and it is as full as any other OPD. And people are not shy sitting there. Earlier, the stigma was there. यारे हमें किसी ने अगर देख लिया, psychiatry ward में जाते हुए, psychiatric के पास जाते हुए, people सोचेंगे अब तो पागल है. But no, no more, no. I have a friend who's a psychiatrist, and I walk into a clinic. गांव वाले, all the villagers, जो झाड़फूस पहले कराते थे, अब उनको समझ में आ गया ये भी एक बीमारी है. Mental health भी एक बीमारी है जिसको ठीक किया जा सकता है अगर हम ठीक टाइम से उसको पकड़ लिया. They walk into the doctor's clinic and they get themselves treated, and they're living a very normal, healthy life. So by approaching mental health with the same attitude as we do with physical health, we can reach a point where they are both discussed openly and honestly without fear of judgment, and we can beat the stigma around mental health. Don't let stigma create self-doubt and shame. It is very important to choose to empower your shame. जैसे रश्मि ने कहा, she said that, she became empowered. यार मैंने कुछ गलत नहीं किया. एक गलत शादी को तोड़ के या एक गलत रिलेशनशिप में से बाहर निकल के मैंने कुछ गलत नहीं किया. लोगों ने तो मुझे बहुत स्टिग्मेटाइज किया. लोगों ने तो मेरे बारे में तो बहुत, और शायद आज तक भी कहते होंगे. But she chose empowerment over shame. And that is what we need to do when it is stigma for mental health also. Seeking counseling, educating yourself about your condition, and connecting to a mental health professional is very important. If you think you need help, you must go to a mental health professional. We do not go to a mental health professional because we think we'll be judged, ridiculed, or harassed by people. Consider what a mental health provider can do for you. Yes, we have specialists, and it is good to go to a specialist. But then, like I said, every human being is a specialist. Every human being is a counselor. अगर हम अपने आँख और कान खुले रखें, we can see the signs of mental distress in all our friends, in all our family, in all our peers, in all our our corporate friends, and everybody. लेकिन हम करते क्या है? We brush it under the carpet, like Shobha ji said, कि नहीं इसको तो ठीक है, कल ठीक हो जाएगी, जब तक कि she or he crosses the threshold and contemplates suicide. So what is that we need to do? Is we need to help you to create step-by-step approach to solve your problems. हमने बातें तो बहुत सुख कर ली, लेकिन हम करें क्या उसके में? कोई स्टेप बाय स्टेप अप्रोच जैसे हम हर चीज में करते हैं. अच्छा, आज मैं ये करूंगी, आज मैं सुबह उठ के नहाऊंगी, आज मैं सुबह उठ के जिम जाऊंगी, आज मैं सुबह उठ के वॉक के लिए जाऊंगी, आज मैं प्राणायाम करूंगी. सो यू हैव अ स्टेप बाय स्टेप अप्रोच कि मैं पहले ये सब करके तो देखूं टू कम आउट ऑफ माय इशू. सेकेंडली, टू चेंज सेल्फ लिमिटिंग बिहेवियर्स, कि हमें जैसे रश्मि ने कहा कि हमारा बिहेवियर ठीक नहीं हो सकता, कोई मुझे सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा, मैं तो कुछ नहीं कर सकती, नाउ आई एम डूम्ड. So we need to change that behavior of ours and say, nahin, I can come out of it. I will come out of it. Then talk about mapping your goals. Now, what is mapping your goals? Mapping your goals is tracking progress, future goals by activities such as journaling, mindfulness, etc. So we need to, if we journal our day and say, I सुबह उठूंगी, मैं ये करा, मैंने आज ये करा, मैंने ये करा, मैंने ये करा. Okay, एक चीज मिस हो गई, कोई बात नहीं, कल मैं वो कर लूंगी. So it is very important to map your goals. Also, develop self-confidence. The moment we map our goals, we start to become confident. कि नहीं यार, मैं अगर 10 में से 5 चीज भी कर पाई तो ठीक है, I'm quite happy with that. So tomorrow I'll try and do 6 things, and then 7, and then 8, and then 9, and reach my target or the goal that I fixed for myself. Also, become stronger in challenging situations. Now, it's very easier said than done. Become stronger in challenging situations. Now, if I had lost my husband 7 years back, and at that time when I was depressed and I was crying and I was grieving, people said, "Arey, koi baat nahi, kal theek ho jayega." It takes time, you see. Things will become fine with you. How can they become fine with me? I've lost my husband. But it was a challenging situation for me, and slowly I did become stronger, and I am stronger. But the void always remains. But with the help of my children, with the help of good friends, with the help of counselors, I am able to now sail through and help others or be with others, holding the hands that you're not alone, I'm there with you. Now, some of the non-invasive therapies we practice at the Society for Complementary Therapies to deal with mental health concerns, some of them are, which you will see also on my website. Some of it is like clinical hypnotherapy, sound and resonance therapy, bio-neurofeedback therapy, art therapy, and I also practice foot reflexology. So like Parvneet said, that there is a bouquet of therapies, non-invasive therapies that I practice, and I customize my therapies according to the need of the person who walks in. जैसे अगर प्रिस्क्रिप्शन दिया जाता है, आप जब किसी डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, he or she sees कि भाई आपको खांसी जुकाम बुखार है, आपको ये दवाई दी जाएगी, आपको ये है तो ये दी जाएगी. Similarly for me, I customize my therapies according to the need of the person who is walked in. So thank you so much for bearing me out, listening to me, and I look forward to hearing more from you.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and shedding the light on how we can combat the stigma. I truly agree. Talking about this is truly the first step to destigmatize mental health and bring it at par with physical health. So before opening the stage to the participants, I would like to just share briefly that on 4th of March, we'll be having a panel on elderly neglect and its mental health impact. And the panel has some renowned people like Meena ma'am, Mr. Shailesh Mishra, and Ms. Raheen. So, if you want to register, you can just WhatsApp us or drop us an email. Now I'm opening the stage to anyone and everyone who has something to share, and I would request everyone also to, if they could switch on their camera so that we can have a group photograph as well.
Can I just say one thing, please?
Yes, Rashmi, please carry on.
So, one of the most fascinating things when I came to your clinic was the fact that you have so many things, like you said, just now, the kind of different kinds of therapies that you deal with. I mean, they are amazing. The sound therapy, that sound bath that you do. Now, I think one of the things that I forgot to speak about was in resonance to that. One of the main things that I think healed me without my even being conscious of it was the fact that I was painting and that I was writing. So our creative mind, when we give into, that's a huge source of healing. And that's what you deal with also, Meenaji, art therapy and other things like this. We don't even realize the kind of energies that we have inside of us, and to be able to use those energies to heal ourselves and then heal the outside. So
Thank
it's
you,
amazing
Rashmi.
what you do.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you. So
that's true. And in fact, like you are practicing art therapy, so the kind of colors we use also really portray what we are feeling, the kind of emotions we are feeling. Like colors like red and yellow often are an expression of anger or a need for an outlet. So that's actually very true. So anyone has any queries, any doubts, or anything they would like to put forward or share with us?
Vatsala, would you like to talk about some experiences that you've had in your life on mental health? Vatsala, can you unmute yourself at least, if not the camera?
Achha, sorry, I was on mute. I was not able to answer
Not
you.
at all. That's all right. Now,
Now, your question was, ma'am, I was just trying to unmute in the meantime.
that's all right. You just, any experience that you had on mental health that you have dealt with and very effectively, and how do you feel that it should be addressed in time?
So, like, I wasn't really prepared to answer any question, but
That's all right. That's all right.
I am very appreciative of this, the three talks that I heard, and all three were complementing each other and dealt with different aspects of the situation. So very glad that these things are being talked about and they're out in the open. So kudos on that. I would only probably say that dealing with the situation is the answer, not
as a caregiver. I would say
thinking
that
about it and putting it away or hoping it will go away. How can it go away unless you do something about it? I mean, there's got to be a cognizance of it and do what is required. Like Mrs. Meena Gupta mentioned chemical imbalance. I think that's a very, very important factor. Everything can't be behavioral only and dealt with behaviorally. So there are two aspects. One is the bloods, which the psychiatrist will deal with. And one is the therapy, which the counselor will deal with. And I think both can't be left off. They have to be in consonance with each other. So doing just
Vatsala, can I ask you a question as a caregiver? If you were a caregiver or any other caregiver that you've seen who is dealing with issues of mental health in the family, can I hear your perspective? What is it that the caregiver goes through if one does, dealing with an issue like that in the family?
I would have to then relate with Miss Rashmi Anand here, because
Yes.
like she said, it's really tough on the person, and you start thinking like, this is it, I can't cope with it any longer, or I don't have the strength to do it, or I'll go under while I'm doing this. Because there's so much stigma attached to it, one doesn't know how to deal with the situation.
Mhm.
You learn as you go along, but the right thing I think is to have the positive mindset, to want to do it and to want to help that person. If you give up on that person, like Rashmi said about her son, or any caregiver for the person, if you give up on the relationship or give up on them, then how will you help anyone? You can help somebody if you want to help, and then surely the thing will fall in place. The multifaceted therapy and the psychiatrist and the psychologist part, and it will fall into place. Also, the person who's going through that also understands where you are coming from. If you are giving positive reinforcement, they take it that well. So
Vasla,
Rashmi,
thank you, because that was very important for me to understand. As a caregiver, you said not to give up, on one relationship. Like Rashmi said, she couldn't have given up on her son and said that now you can be in the institution. Similarly, a person who's a caregiver can't just give up and say कि भाई अब बस हो गया मेरे से अपनी संभलता आ गई.
because you have that situation now, you deal with the situation.
Right.
You also start giving up, then how will the other person get any help?
Absolutely. Thank you, Vasla, for relating with this. I really wanted to hear a caregiver's perspective, like Rashmi also said. Anybody else who would like to share any other experience? Indra ji, or Ashwin, or Shukti, anybody who would like to share any of their experiences that they have, dealt with? Rekha ji, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगी? Yes, Indra. Good to see you, Indra.
Hi.
We are
Yeah,
foot
this is-
reflexologists, and she is Ikebana expert, and I don't know what all she is. I really admire her for all that she's doing. Yeah.
No, so coming to that, I just heard that about you said art and other things. So I just want to tell you, so many years ago, we had some family situations and, whatever happens in the Indian families, and I wasn't able to cope with it. And there was a period of, what should I say? I was really depressed. And that period somehow, about 2-3 months, I just don't recollect anything of that period. What I did stupid things like not eating, closing myself in a room and all that. But what happened is when, those days only, a chapter opened, O'Hara School of Ikebana. Some people came and we decided to open the chapter. I opened the chapter along with other teachers of Ikebana, and we started teaching Ikebana and all that. Since that day, 30 years ago, I haven't looked back.
Wow.
From a nobody to I became Indira Mishra, the Ikebana teacher. After that, reflexology came in, and then people telling me that, okay, aapne ye kiya, itna acha ho gaya, mera back theek ho gaya, mera. When these things started happening, when I became somebody, when I was recognized as a person of use to somebody, of help to somebody, I was able to, take
Heal
care
yourself.
of myself.
Absolutely.
So-
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Indra, for sharing that. It's very important because Ikebana became your anchor. And from
Yes.
there was no looking back.
Yeah. And
Wow.
even now, sometimes, when I'm not feeling very good about something, I just get up and make an arrangement.
Wow.
And that makes me feel good.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Rekha ji, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगी? Rekha,
हेलो,
आप अंधेरे में हैं, आप उजाले में आ जाइए थोड़ा. हाँ.
मैं उजाले में आ जाऊं?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
जी
Yeah.
जी, मैं आ गई हूँ थोड़ा
हाँ
सा
जी.
ना शायद.
No problem. I was
हाँ,
just joking. I was bringing smile
Yeah,
and
I know. लेकिन क्योंकि जहाँ पर आप हैं वहाँ तो कोई अंधेरे में रह ही नहीं सकता
क्या
ना.
बात है, क्या बात है. Thank you so much for that compliment.
और आपके बारे में तो मैं खैर ज्यादा नहीं बोलूंगी क्योंकि आपने तो मुझे कितने मौकों पे बहुत ही ज्यादा डिप्रेशन से बाहर निकाला है. आपके प्रोग्राम्स ने मुझे इतनी एनर्जी दी कि मैं अपने डिप्रेस्ड मूड को दूर छोड़कर फिर से अपनी पॉजिटिव लाइफ में वापस आई, क्योंकि मैं बेसिकली बहुत पॉजिटिव हूँ। लेकिन कई बार होता है कुछ बातें ऐसी दिमाग में घुस जाती हैं, अब चाह के भी उन्हें निकाल नहीं पाते। कहते सब है कि डिलीट कर दो, लेकिन नहीं हो पाती हैं।
राइट,
पर फिर भी आपके प्रोग्राम्स रियली मुझे काफी एनर्जी देते हैं कि मैं अपने आप को फिर से अपनी उसी केयर फ्री लाइफ में वापस ला सकूं।
थैंक यू रेखा, थैंक यू। परवनीत, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगी? परवनीत, आप बहुत क्वाइट हैं। यस, सॉरी परवनीत नहीं, परमजीत कहाँ गई? परमजीत चली गई, अभी थी यहाँ पे। She's here.
मेरे को तो
परमजीत,
इतना मजा आ रहा था सुन के, मैं सोच रही थी कि पहले मैं सबको सुनूं
ओके,
और फिर मैं उसको थोड़ा अपने अंदर रिफ्लेक्ट करूं, फिर लोगों को कॉम्प्लीमेंट दूं। मेरे को सुनने में ज्यादा मजा आ रहा था बजाय कि मैं अपना कुछ कहूं। और ये सेशन बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है। आपने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा कि स्टिग्मा होता है, समटाइम्स अपने लिए होता है, समटाइम फैमिली में कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम होती है उसका भी स्टिग्मा होता है। ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ अपने लिए होता है, आपका
राइट,
कोई कसूर नहीं है फिर भी आपके ऊपर स्टिग्मा होता है। तो ये जो स्टिग्मा और ये सब चीजें जो लानी है, उसको कैसे ट्रीट करना है, मैं एक क्वेश्चन जरूर करूंगी कि हम अपने आप को एलीट क्लास में मानते हैं, पढ़े लिखे मानते हैं। मैं उन लोगों के बारे में बात करना चाहती हूँ जो ओल्ड पीपल हैं, अकेले रहते हैं, फाइनेंशियली भी इतने ज्यादा नहीं है और वो काउंसलर को अप्रोच भी नहीं कर सकते और सोसाइटी का पार्ट भी हैं और अकेले रह रहे हैं। उनके लिए हमारी सोसाइटी, जो आपकी सोसाइटी क्या कर रही है, उसके बारे में मेरा थोड़ा सा एप्रीहेंशन है, मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ।
गुड, दैट इज अ गुड क्वेश्चन। पहली बात, 2 सवाल थे आपके कि हमारी सोसाइटी क्या कर रही है, वो हम आपको बताएंगे, बट जो आपका पहला सवाल था कि वो कैसे अप्रोच करें, सो हियर शोभा जी, वुड यू लाइक टू शेड सम लाइट की जो सीनियर सिटीजन्स हैं उनके लिए, हालांकि हम कर रहे हैं एग्जूम सेशन द नेक्स्ट 4th में, बट एनीथिंग दैट यू वुड लाइक टू से ऑन दैट शोभा जी, एज अ लॉयर, हाउ इज इट दैट वी कैन।
एक्चुअली इसीलिए हैंड रेस कर रही थी कि मैं आपको सजेस्ट भी करना चाहूंगी।
जी हाँ, जी हाँ।
Mental Health Act 2017. We had earlier 1987. You must be knowing.
Right.
This 2017 also has a provision that you can ask the central government or central government and all the concerned governments. They have to have the provisions to make, to come out with the schemes to create awareness about the mental health programs. आप क्योंकि कर रही हैं काम, तो एज अ सोसाइटी इनफैक्ट you can write suggestions to the concerned governments or the central government, the concerned ministry,
right,
कि awareness के लिए क्या क्या किया जा सकता है।
right.
जैसे अभी आप में से कौन बोल रहा था, आप ही बोल रही थी शायद झाड़ फूक वाली बात की, झाड़ फूक करते हैं। मुझे उस समय आई कुड रिकलेक्ट साउथ दिल्ली में ग्रेटर कैलाश पार्ट 1 में वन ऑफ माय क्लाइंट, शी वाज टेकन इन मिडनाइट by her parents to some remote area of Rajasthan. किस लिए? जीप से बांधकर उसके बालों के साथ उसको पता नहीं क्या ट्रीटमेंट देना था उस झाड़ फूस वाले को कि वो ठीक हो जाएगी। तो हमारी इलिटरेसी इस लेवल की है कि हम बहुत इलीट सोसाइटी में बैठे हैं, पढ़े लिखे हैं, पर हमको ये समझ में आता है कि ये ठीक हो सकता है, पर दवाइयों से नहीं, बातचीत से नहीं। कैसे? कि किसी पंडित के पास, किसी झाड़ फूक वाले के पास ले जाइए, वो ओवरनाइट कुछ करेगा आपके संग, टॉर्चर। एंड इफ यू गो टू दिस, आई कैन गिव यू द लिस्ट ऑफ द एरियाज जहां पर ये सब होता है, जहां पर क्या क्या इनह्यूमन ट्रीटमेंट करा जाता है ठीक करने के लिए। तो कम से कम अवेयरनेस बढ़ाई जाए।
राइट,
देखिए जो मैं पहले भी बोल रही थी और आपने बोला, एंड दैट वाज मेरा बहुत ये बिलवड एक्सप्रेशन है जो आपने यूज कर लिया एक्चुअली, एंड आई वाज फीलिंग जेलस कि मैंने क्यों नहीं किया। Normalizing, normalizing the concept of understanding it, being aware of it, talking about it. अगर आप फिजिकल हेल्थ के संग कोरिलेट करने के लिए, कि जैसे आप फिजिकल हेल्थ को एड्रेस करते हो, ऐसे मेंटल हेल्थ को करो, कोई बहुत इश्यू नहीं है। एक ये बहुत समझने वाली बात है जो आप लोग कर सकते हो एज अ सोसाइटी, ये समझाना कि ये ठीक होता है। हम क्यों इसको स्टिग्मा लेते हैं? क्योंकि हमारे अंदर कहीं ये इन डेप्थ बैठ गया है सोसाइटी में कि एक ऐसी समस्या है जो ठीक नहीं होती है, या तो आप पागल हो या नहीं हो।
There's no gray area.
हाँ, मेंटल हेल्थ का मतलब वो 2 पोल अपार्ट थिंग्स हैं, या तो आप ठीक हो या पागल हो। और अगर आप पागल हो तो आप ठीक नहीं हो, और अगर आप ठीक नहीं हो तो आप सोसाइटी के लिए नहीं हो। तो मैं उस जोन में ही नहीं जाना चाहता हूँ एज अ फैमिली, एज अ इंडिविजुअल, कि कोई मुझे पहचान जाए कि मैं पागल हूँ।
करेक्ट।
तो अगर वो अवेयरनेस आप बढ़ा पाते हैं कि देखिए मेंटल हेल्थ केवल एक मेंटल कंडीशन है, वो फेज भी हो सकता है। एक पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम था जब मैं बहुत डिप्रेशन में आ गया अचानक से, पर मुझे लगा आई एम नॉट फीलिंग गुड। I called my friend, I said, I'm not feeling good for 2-3 days, I'm not going to court, let's go out. We went out, we drove long drive, we went to agricultural fields, कुछ भी किया हमने, but back home we were very happy person. So sometimes to be aware to how to make yourself happy, क्योंकि आप खुश हैं तो आप ठीक हैं।
करेक्ट।
तो वो अवेयरनेस बढ़ाना कि आपको खुश करना अपने आप को आना चाहिए, आपको ढूंढना पड़ेगा कि आपको क्या चीज खुश कर सकती है।
करेक्ट।
पर खो मत जाइए, और इस पे अगर आप काम कर सकते हैं, मैं आपको एज अ लॉयर असेस कर सकती हूँ दैट आई कैन फाइल अ पिटीशन फॉर यू प्रो बोनो इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट to compel the governments or to request the government to come out with the awareness programs.
Very nice.
To give effect to the implementing the provisions of the act which says do the stuff which create awareness. There should be periodical talks about these issues. इतना बात करिए इसके बारे में। जैसे रश्मि जी को पता है कि हम लोग वी द विमेन ऑफ इंडिया पे जब काम करते हैं, हम कहते हैं विमेन इश्यूज पे इतनी बात करिए कि लोगों को आदत हो जाए सुनने की।
करेक्ट।
और ये बात करना रूटीन हो जाए, बात करना नॉर्मलाइज हो जाए, नहीं बात करना एक्सेप्शन हो। तो आप अपनी मेंटल हेल्थ को छिपाते हैं, एक्सेप्शन हो जाए, आप अपनी मेंटल हेल्थ को डिस्कस करते हैं रूटीन।
करेक्ट, मेरा बिल्कुल यही ध्येय है, और आई विल डेफिनेटली लव टू एसोसिएट विद यू and do whatever we can to spread awareness on mental health. जैसे आपने कहा, one should talk about it rather than ignore it, rather than brush it under the carpet. शोभा जी, मैं हर अपने Zoom सेशन में लिटरली मुझे लगता है कि छत के खड़े होके मैं ये सबसे कहूँ, don't brush mental health under the carpet. Please address it, acknowledge it and address it. दीप्ति, आप चुप हैं, आपने कुछ नहीं कहा. I would like to hear something from you also, please.
Yes, definitely. I was just waiting.
Yes, I was also waiting. Yes.
Yeah. So, first and foremost thing which I was just sharing with my friend Harsha is that it's very important that we create a platform, very nicely Shobha ji put it, if we have to make it as a part of our normal conversation and not as a, okay, something happens so then I talk about it and then I become aware and other person becomes aware. ऐसे नहीं, मतलब naturally, So, I mean, just to cut a long story short, I lost my mother in 2006. She was an epileptic patient. So she used to take, in my memory, I was what, 23, 24 that time when she passed away. And my sister was around 1920. So in my memory, I knew that Amma had epilepsy and she was taking a medicine, fits. That much only. I was absolutely ignorant of the fact that she had mental health issue, which I later on got to know over a period of time in conversations with my father. It would come out either during an argument or maybe during something, it will just come out. Because parents are very protective. They only want to share good things. They don't want to share for whatever reasons known to them. So then, ऐसे कुछ चीजें पता चली over a period of time about Amma, and I realized, and he shared with me that twice she was given electric shock. One experience just 1 month back, he shared with me that he is retired from State Bank of India. So he was traveling and he was in the station पे थे, और उन्होंने अम्मा को गाड़ी में देखा, ट्रेन में. So she was going from VT to Mulund and Mulund to VT, not being aware what's happening. He suddenly spotted her and then he bought her. I mean, imagine, I am telling this so casually, but when he shared it with me, being a regular meditator, I've been meditating for almost 21 years now. I started when I was 19. That's when I did my Art of Living course. So it became easy for me because now I can look at it like watching a film, not getting involved. Knowing, okay, what's happening, but still having that rational thinking and then viewing it and seeing what can be done. Because it's very important that we don't get into the victim mode. We all go through pleasant and unpleasant moments. Life is not like a bed of roses. We all have our own set of karmas that we have to finish off. But then having that, kind of understanding and creating a platform. You know, I was alarmed by seeing the statistics which Meenaji had shared in her PPT. You know, whether they are teens or children or youth or old people, doesn't matter. And catch them young. Why we have to go through all that and then realize at 60 that, oh, mental health, and I've lost, I can't do anything, all those 60 years are gone. You know, so really we can really catch hold of youth, because youngsters are experiencing this, and all we need is platforms. And we have people like Meenaji, Shobhaji, Rashmiji. You really should go all out and create these platforms so that it becomes natural, what we are all aiming at.
Thank you, Deepti. Thank you so much. I think we'll end here, but until Ashwin wants to say something, I think he's the only person, only participant who's keeping silent. And if there's a reason to keep silent, then I can understand. But if there isn't, we would like to hear your voice. Ashwin, would you like to say something? I think he likes to be on. Yeah, Ashwin, please. Thank you for unmuting yourself. Yeah.
Am I audible, ma'am, and visible?
Yes, yes, you are, Ashwin. Yes.
Actually, it was very good to be a part of this session, because I'm also aware that post-pandemic things have changed and people are slowly getting back to normal. But mental health is something what has to be taken care of. And I myself am a mental health ambassador. So
very good.
Definitely, this is something what is added up to my learning, and I'm looking forward to do a lot in this field for people whenever it is required and whenever appropriate.
So Ashwin, you said you are a mental health ambassador. Would you like to share some details about yourself and your organization, if you're part of, or what you are doing, so we can, understand your work better and be part of it?
Actually, I'm not from this mental health psychology background.
That's
I'm
all right.
from a corporate background, but I do
Yes.
this as a separate part of it.
Yes.
Like it's like helping people in whichever small ways possible, like providing food or providing any other material which is the need of the hour, basically.
Very
and
nice.
Also, I volunteer in terms of even as a part of my college to even take care of people who are who have been victims of the COVID and all, for in terms of their cremation and all that.
Very nice. I really applaud you for the effort that you're doing, and anything that you wish that we can hold hands and do for you or your associates, we are always there for you. Thank you so much. Now, would you like to end the session now?
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and it has truly been a pleasure. Thank you. We'll be ending the meeting now unless anyone has anything to share.
I just want to add one line.
Yes, Shobhaji, please.
You know, when Deepti said catch them young, I would just add one line, catch them young when, not by age, I mean, young at the illness. You know, one friend of mine who is 60 years old, a lawyer, and she was in a cycle of work, getting up early in the morning, addressing the ailing father-in-law, cooking, the maid was not coming, the relatives coming to work, going back, doing this. I said, you would go mad. And that was my sentence. I said, stop doing all this. Don't tackle so many things at one front. You would go mad. 2.5 years down the line, she actually got mad in a way, like she had become a serious subject of mental depression. We had to address that. We had taken her to doctor. She was being treated. She told me one thing. She said, Shobha, please don't let any of our friends know. I said, why? They would make fun of me. They would not understand the way you are understanding. You please keep tackling my issue. Don't inform them. So she took an off for 1.5 months. I was doing things for her, attending a matter of things. Anybody asking me, and I said she is on a sabbatical. Till date, we have not informed anyone because she never wanted anyone to make fun of her. This is the society we are. So catch them young, as Deepti is saying, but then don't make fun of them when they are trying to address it.
Absolutely. You've said it just right. Thank you, Shobhaji, for that closing line. Thank you so much.
Yes. So thank you everyone for joining us. It has truly been an honor having everyone here, Shobha ma'am, Rashmi ma'am, Meena ma'am. It has truly been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Glad to know Indraji also amongst all everybody.
Thank you.